guys, it's Molly from Now You Know, and today we're going to learn about the 3 T's of safe sex: talking, tools, and testing, with a focus on the LGBTQ population. This is really important because less than 1/3 of the U.S. states are required to discuss sexual orientation, and 3 of those states are actually required to speak negatively about it. We think that regardless of your sexual preferences and identities, everyone should be educated on how to have safe and fun sex. I'm here with 3 experts who are going to give us some more information on each topic. Let's bring them on. Hey Kaylee, welcome to the show. So, why is talking about sex so important?
Well, imagine going to a restaurant where the chef fixes you whatever he or she wants without asking you about what you want to eat. That's what it's like to have a relationship with very little communication. And this is true regardless of your gender, your orientation, or your sexual preferences.
Okay, so how do you get the conversation going?
So, although talking about sex can be really scary, it can also be really sexy, even if you both have your clothes on. So many people find that when they get up the nerve to talk about sex, their partner really appreciates it, because most likely they've been trying to build up the nerve to ask too. So many people respect a partner even more once they brought up the topic of safe sex, and it shows confidence, and what could be more sexy than confidence?
Very true. Okay, so what sorts of things do people in a sexual relationship talk about?
So first of all, it's really important to have a partner that you feel comfortable talking to about your sexual wants and needs. So while you don't need to share every detail about your raging foot fetish on the first date, your partner does need to know about anything that could negatively impact them, such as STDs that you may have. So while we're also speaking about STDs, it can be really scary, once again, to open up to your potential partner about this. But if you have an STD and you want to communicate that to your partner, it's best to stay positive and be honest and straightforward with them, because the more positive you are, the more likely your partner is to listen to you and hear that in a positive manner. So having an STD does not mean the end of a good sex life, but if you feel ashamed of your STD, your partner will likely feel similarly and pick up on this.
Okay, so what about consent?
Yeah, so first of all, it's really important to establish what kind of relationship you're interested in with your partner. So if you're only interested in having sex with the person you met at the party last night, that's okay and there's nothing wrong with that, but communicating that to the other person is imperative in a trusting, honest relationship. So additionally, many people don't know this, but transgender youth specifically are more likely to experience sexual violence than straight youth. So it's especially important for LGBT youth to know about how to give and receive consent. Giving consent for one sexual encounter does not give permission for all following sex encounters. And agreeing to kiss someone doesn't mean that you're agreeing for the other person to take off your clothing. So to keep things safe, try and stick to verbal consent for both parties, so there's no question later on whether or not the encounter was consensual.
Okay, great. Well, that's been really helpful. Thank you so much for coming on. All right, now let's go talk to Maggie, who's going to tell us a little bit more about tools.
Bye!
Hey Maggie. So, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, Molly.
All right, can you talk a little bit more about tools and why they're important for safe sex?
Yes. So, there's a number of tools that you can use regardless of your sexual orientation or preferences. First, we'll start with the condoms. They go on a penis, and they can be used on male and male sex or male and female sex. They can also be used for intercourse or oral sex. Condoms protect against both STDs, STIs, and pregnancy. And for your pleasure, there are flavor condoms. Would you like chocolate-covered strawberry or island punch? Moving on to the female condom, or as I like to call it, the receptor condom. The female condom goes inside a vagina, or it can go inside an anus. So it can be used for female on female sex, female on male sex, or male on male sex. The great thing about the female condom, is that it can go inside, so you protect yourself even if your partner doesn't want protection. It protects you against STDs, STIs, and again, pregnancy. And if you'd like to see one, because many people have never seen a female condom, this is what it looks like. Yum.
Wow. That's great.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to the dental dam. The dental dam is particularly important for oral sex because you can get STDs from both giving and receiving oral sex. This is a dental dam. It goes over the vagina, over the vulva, or over the anus. You just drape it over and go to town. Finally, we're going to talk about lube. Lube is really important for using on really any of these, especially if they have latex or if they're plastic, because they prevent any types of rips or tears, and they also prevent any rips or tears on your skin, which is really important because if you have an open rip or tear and your partner has an infection, you're more likely to acquire the infection because you have open bloodstream. Also, lube is very important for pleasure. It can help, especially if you're using protection, which many people claim that protection hinders their pleasure. Lube is your answer. Also, we have flavored lube for your own taste. This one isn't flavored, but there are a lot out there, so keep an eye out.
Okay, so what if someone has an allergy to latex?
That's a great question, Molly. If somebody has an allergy to latex, not a problem. There are latex-free tools in all of these formats. There's also something called sheepskin or sheep's wool, which, side note, does not protect you against STDs because those little guys can still get through the holes. So I would recommend using latex-free. There's latex-free condoms, there's latex-free female condoms, or male condoms, or receptor condoms, as I like to say. Or there's latex-free dental dams.
I did not know that. All right, so is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I would like to say that even though these are all great options to use in protection, they are never 100% effective. For that reason, it's important to always get tested for both pregnancy and STDs or STIs. Let's hear from Casey for some information on testing.
Hey, Casey.
Hey, Molly.
Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on. So before we dive in, can you tell us the difference between an STD and an STI? Because I don't know.
Sure, yeah, you're not alone. Many people don't know the difference between an STI and an STD. So an STI is an acute, curable infection. So anything that can be completely eradicated with medication is considered an STI, whereas an STD is a chronic condition that is not curable but can be treatable. So it's not necessarily something that you will constantly have to deal with the symptoms of, but it will always be there.
Okay, very interesting. So why is testing so important?
Testing is so important because every year there are more than 20 million new cases of STDs in the United States alone. And by age 25, your chances of getting an STI are roughly 1 in 2. This is really important to get tested because it helps you know if you are infected and therefore helps reduce and prevent the spread of infections. Mm-hmm. Testing is also really important because so often there are not symptoms with STIs. So frequent testing will allow you to still detect these infections if you're not having the symptoms.
Okay. So how often would you recommend that someone get tested?
Yeah, so I would encourage everybody who is sexually active to get tested for all sexually transmitted diseases and infections at least once per year. And if you are sexually active with multiple partners, we would suggest more frequent testing about twice a year. With that being said, sexually active gay and bisexual men between the ages of 13 and 29 account for more than 2/3 of the new HIV infections annually. So we do suggest that sexually active gay and bisexual men would benefit from more frequent HIV testing, maybe every 3 months or 4 times per year.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
One more question for you if you have time.
Of course.
If someone needs to get tested, where should they go?
So there are a lot of places you can go. If you have a primary care office, you can go see your doctor or nurse there. You can also go to any clinics, community health centers, and also we get a lot of people who are not insured, and so they are afraid that there's nowhere for them to get tested, but that is not the case. There are a lot of free and reduced price testing centers, such as Planned Parenthood, which offers free STI testing in many locations. So there's also a Boston-based organization called Project Trust, and they give free STI testing and affordable pregnancy testing, and they also refer patients who test positive for STDs or STIs or pregnancy. The really cool thing about Project Trust is that they have interpreters that speak 33 different languages, so any language barriers are sort of eradicated with those interpreters. And if you're not from the greater Boston area, really a simple Google search will help you find those locations.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's really helpful. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I
Thanks
think we're
for
just
having me.
about out of time. So remember, kids, sex can be safe and fun. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next time on Now You Know.